This is the Diman Regional School Committee meeting for September 15, 2022. Roll call.
Mr. Jennings,
Here.
Mr. DiBiaseu,
Here.
Mr. Beegan,
Here.
Ms. Menard, Father J,
Here.
Dr. Nara,
In accordance to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, any member of the public may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record the meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with the reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair. Is not to interfere with the meeting. Does anybody?
I have not been notified.
Okay. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to approve the August 11, 2022 minutes. So, need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Do we have a student report?
So at the beginning of every year, students vote who they want their representative to be. So those votes are being taken now. I believe October will be the first time we have a student representative.
Thank you. And we have no one for citizens.
No.
2.1 superintendent, the 2022 mid-cycle evaluation, just a reminder. And then the 2.2 is a superintendent 2022 end of cycle evaluation. They haven't done them yet. Putting into Aline as soon as possible. 3.1 other matters, personnel, Mr. Bentley, a report.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, school
Oh.
improvement plan.
I don't have. 2.3 school improvement plan. Need to approve that plan.
Sure. Let me know if you have any questions. I think the big focus this year was really to intensify our supports around our most pertinent needs, mental health, getting back to connections, forums, student and staff wellness. So within the plan are initiatives and activities to really get us to where we need to go and we're off to a good start. If there's any questions, please.
Need a motion to approve.
Motion made.
Need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Getting back to 3.1 other matters, Mr. Bentley.
On personnel, this is for the committee's information of the personnel that has been hired in order to begin the 22-23 school year. For your information, we are still looking for one person and one which is that Sims person. This is the person who's going to be coming in and working to train the medical assistant and help assisting students on the mannequin. The very lifelike mannequin, and also then in the second half of the year to go to the clinical sites as the second instructor out there. It was paid being paid out of the grant. We do have an applicant for it. She currently just returned to Portugal, so I do have a call into her to see if she's still interested in it and to look at what she's looking for. We have a little flexibility.
Okay.
We brought this to the committee the last time,
Right.
and you said an hourly wage. And we're just looking at seeing if we're in the, we're okay, we can go with this.
All right, good. Thank you. 3.1 other matters, the accepting of donations.
Yeah, now that this is for the Bengal Foundation, through the Charlton Foundation. I managed to make some good connections, fundraising of the Charlton Foundation. Gave the Bengal Foundation $18,000. That is to be spread out over 2 years, $9,000 each year. And this can be used for any student who is going on to any type of a college, BCC or a full 4-year college. It can be used as either a scholarship / help pay for a course if they're in financial need. So this is money given from the foundation to Diman Regional, work with the guidance department and our students to help them financially.
Recommendation is to accept the donation, but we
Made.
in a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? C, use of facilities.
So this, member of the committee, this is something that was done last year, and we have a group that comes in and feeds football players prior to their games. They don't require any use of any equipment, just for the use of our space, which is the cafeteria. They're pretty self-sufficient. They provide the plates, they provide the food, they set up, they clean up. I've spoken with Andrew about this, which we've done last year, very successful, built some team spirit and team camaraderie. Our new athletic director, Bobby Bailey, is fully on board with this. I spoke to our director of buildings and grounds, Glenn Benavides. Is there any conflict with anything? He says, no, they take care of themselves, they clean up, they don't even bother the custodians. So it seems to be very much a win-win all the way around. Now, if the boys can win on the field, be happy with that one too. It's a win-win-win. Yeah.
One last week.
They did, they won.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. We do have CCON. I was at this Friday night, tomorrow night here on the field, yeah.
Very good. Recommendation to approve the request by the.
Motion made.
Need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? D would be the extra.
Yeah,
curriculum
so bring this
positions.
to the committee's attention because these three, what I'm about to present to you has been here for a while. But it has, I'm finding that it needs to be cleaned up and made a little, it has to be clearer so that everybody is on the same page. The very first one falls under this for the extracurricular positions, so let's go with yearbook advisors. The yearbook advisors traditionally, and this year there are 30 students. That gives the ability of the superintendent director to ask for 2 advisors to go in. Once it raises, goes above 20 or more students in an activity, I can appoint another one. It comes in that what's in the contract is the payment for the yearbook, and I would recommend that each of these advisors get paid the same amount. Okay, it's an undertaking. The yearbook is something, it's a record of the entire school year. It is fairly laborious. It involves an outside vendor to put together the yearbook. It involves photography. And as you know, from graduating from high school, it's a record of everything that was done for the seniors during that year. So my recommendation on that one is that our 2 yearbook advisors, they are appointed, but that each of them receive, this cleans it up, that each of them receive the same stipend, which is in the DTA extracurricular salary.
See what I did.
All right, recommendation to appoint 2 yearbook club advisors and pay each advisor a stipend according to the DTA extra curriculum salary schedule.
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you. The next is something that has been going on here at Diamond for a very long time. As required by law, new teachers do need to have mentors. Diamond has a mentoring program that began many, many years ago, and they did it for a 2-year period of time. Okay, in order to run the program efficiently, there needs to be a coordinator, the one that set up the pairings of the new teacher with the veteran instructor. Is it a good pairing? They have a set curriculum that they've worked on over they worked on for 2 years. The issue is that there are 2 mentors for this. There is no mention of 2 mentors being paid. Yes,
Okay, so,
coordinators being paid, excuse me.
all right. So if you have 10 new teachers,
Yes,
you have 2 mentors with 10 teachers?
no, I'm sorry, there are 2 coordinators, so explaining clearly. There are 2 coordinators who set the whole program up. We have brand new instructors, and they get paired up with a veteran experienced instructor. We have what we call the mentor, and we have the protege. So it's a 1-to-1 pairing.
Correct.
And this will go on for a 2-year period of time, which is what the program is designed to do.
Right.
We currently have 24 individuals in that program. Okay, we do have 2 mentor coordinators, and that has been in existence for a long time. I want to clarify that each one of them is to be paid the stipend in the appendix.
Excuse me, just one thing though, if we do this, we have to do this. This is not in the contract. It's not 2 mentors. So are we creating the fact that we're changing the contract? This isn't an amount, this doesn't go by particular people.
No, this is a posted position.
Because this was only one person budgeted. So how are we gonna, but it was already hired. Unfortunately, the prior superintendent put two mentors in place.
Splitting the stipend.
No,
That's what brought this
One
up.
person not getting a stipend.
No, the last,
but because it's only one person in the contract that's supposed to be hired,
correct.
but they inadvertently hired a second position. And they're already on board, so I'm not suggesting that we go back and remove one of the mentors, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's only supposed to be one man.
Former superintendent ended up paying both mentor coordinators last year. the exact
Full
same
amount.
stipend,
And it wasn't supposed to
Do you
be.
know what that amount is?
$2,400.
All I'm saying is it's not in the contract, that's true. And I'm not
Right.
disagreeing with Mr. Bentley.
Right, so if we go back to one, they're gonna file a grievance saying
No,
that's practice.
I don't, if you go back, right now, the person's already been hired. I'm not suggesting you knock anybody out. But in the future, what I'm recommending is you go back to the way the contract's supposed to be of one mentor. In the event that whoever's the superintendent at that time, Mr. Bentley or otherwise determines there should be two, then you bring it up before the school committee.
How many do you think you need?
There would be two, because this exceeds that number of 20, okay? Again, the 20 number is a very specific number that is in the contract that speaks to extracurricular and people participating in an extracurricular activity. It goes from 0 to 19, it's 1, then from 20 to 40, it's 2. Should it exceed 40, then it could be another one. That language is in the contract. There are 24 people involved in this activity this year. And there are 2 coordinators that were appointed.
So, Ryan, are they suggesting that next year, if there's 18 people, you're going back to one?
Not suggesting that at all, not at all. I mean, I just need to have, for me, it needs to be clarified so that we don't come up with the same thing that I came up with this year. The contract doesn't stipulate for 2 mentor coordinators, yet last year they were both paid the same exact
I know,
amount.
and that
That's
wasn't
why
supposed to be
How
done.
many people there last year? 24?
There were probably, some move on because after the second year they've gone out, but we haven't.
I could just say, when we negotiated, they only negotiated for one.
But if the contract, if the contract states that.
Last year, we negotiated the
limitations,
contract.
but if it has those limitations in there, if it's outlined in accordance with those number values.
I don't,
In the
I'm not
contract.
gonna suggest
Then
that I
we can
know.
adjust it, and we can adjust it as a sliding scale.
The next year
If
is 80.
there's, in the event we have the exceeding 19, does that make sense? Because if that language is in there, it gives us the autonomy to make those moves.
I've added the language for you. If you go to the second page after the pink page, you'll see that the mentor coordinator language, I've included that for you. Not the language of the mentor coordinator, but the language of the contract that speaks to the number. It's there.
So to Greg's point, if next year we only had 16 teachers, we only need one.
Only go back to one, and
Could go
in
back to
accordance
one.
with it.
Because it's always just been one, and I just have to respectfully disagree that when they put the 2 on last year or this year, it wasn't because they had 20 people. That wasn't even determined.
It was just added.
It was just added
What was
because
that
last year,
presumed though?
I don't know if it was presumed, because
I can't.
our former superintendent did it, and I'm not
speak-
trying to throw the former superintendent under the bus in any capacity, but I do know that it was just done. Because even the contract states that if you're going to do it, it's got to come to the committee
Correct.
to approve it. It was never done.
And
He
to-
just paid 2 people.
to Attorney Brilliant's point, this is what when it was uncovered, when I sat with our business manager and that I asked, how was this done? He said. We found out there was 2 that were paid the exact same amount. I went, and I went, could be a problem. We need to bring that
Yeah,
to
that's
the
what I'm
committee in order to
That's
clarify.
language.
it.
Well, what are our options right now? We're not going to,
My recommendation is that we have 2 mentor coordinators on board. We do have 24 participants in that program. My recommendation is that we keep the 2 and we do pay them the stipend, each the same stipend.
but which is being done right now?
It will be done once the committee takes that action.
What is being done right now?
The appointment letters are for 2 mentor coordinators to be paid.
Yeah.
So are they already doing the job, not being paid right now?
Well, they'll be paid this year as they were last year. There's enough people, so therefore.
So they will be paid.
They will be paid. But this should be looked at annual, this should be looked at annually.
Exactly.
In accordance with how many are
You're
appropriate.
right, I agree.
In accordance with how
100%,
many.
you don't change the contract.
You shouldn't change the contract, because we're gonna have 2 mentors without any consideration of the number of people. That's what I'm trying to say.
To go by the number, if that's the way it's written.
Can we make a change to the recommendation for the year 2022, 2023? only.
Well, no, we've already appointed them.
They're wrong.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
we're saying,
for this year.
only making
But
this
that's
for
it.
this year, that's
Next
it.
year, it would have to be
Depending on-
negotiated.
Into the
Depends on the number of units, right? So it's, when you give it, it'll only be
Don't
for
just
this year.
help them with it.
For the committee, you can do. Within your rights to do whatever you like to do. Now, my recommendation is these two people are in, they took the positions probably in good faith, figuring that they work on it. Okay, but they were not paid. I'm bringing this to the committee's attention because it is a hiccup that I'm not comfortable with. And I do want to clarify it going forward for this year.
That's why I was making a recommendation that would be for this year, and then it would have to be.
Correct, that's all I'm
Throughout the
suggesting,
year,
I'm not suggesting any way, shape or form, not having the two people on board this year.
So at the end of this, Mr. Chairman, is just at the schedule, just put for school year
2022.
2022.
2023.
in 23,
So it would only be for this year, right?
and then we can address it next year.
The appointment letters have been for this year already, they've been issued.
Right.
Yeah, we're not
No, no,
dropping them
changing
out, they're gonna get it.
No, I'm just saying, if the committee wants to vote to approve the appointment letters for this year, then that would be the end of it.
Right, next year when we.
Well, contract's in.
over 20 next year, then we.
Next year, yeah, we negotiated.
Probably should.
If there's more than 20 people, then you should have a second one.
Correct, with that language. I agree. And that you won't know that because we know that this year's first year teachers are gonna roll over to next year, but we don't know what the replacements will be for the 2024.
Right. And you don't know how many are in their second year that's gonna be done next year.
Correct.
So,
But other
Right.
moves.
all right, so I make the motion, the appointments of the two mentor coordinators and pay each coordinator the stipend according to the PTA's extra collective salary schedule for school year 2022 and 2023.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, that went for it. Then the third and final one is, we do have people that, this has been in existence for a long time, it got a little cranked up when we had football come back, which was very good, is that there are people needed to work the games. Okay, and these are quickly faculty members, someone who wants to be at the game and work the chain gang, as it's called, work the
Used to
store.
be all volunteer.
It used to be.
Okay, no volunteers anymore.
What has happened is that the rate of pay is nothing, it's not tied to anything, and that's why I'm here tonight. It has been at a $75 per event for many years. Okay, going back on it, it's been $75 per year. But that amount of money has never been brought before this committee. So what we need the positions. These are people who do come forward and they're saying they've done it, some have done it for years and years, but the amount can get a little, we've had a change of athletic directors. We had Mr. Ashley, the original, Mr. Allen, we then had two others, and now we have Bobby Bailey on board. And this came to me through Bobby saying, I just need to know what do they get paid, I want to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I said, I agree with you. So we sat down, we went through the positions that you see for you on the pink sheet and on the following sheet. And that is the recommendation on the rate of pay, just to solidify it, and say that is what we're doing.
Is that about what they were getting paid last year? or
It was just, they've been getting paid $75 for about the last 5 years.
Is this what you had budgeted for?
There's been some variances in how people submit it, what they're requesting. But you set the rate similar to sub rate, you submit the rate of compensation. So therefore, what we're trying to do is get a fixed rate. That way we know what we're paying people, and we'll be able to do it. So if I'm gonna do it similar to the MIA. Right?
Okay.
I was always trapped with people coming in saying, hey, we don't have anyone to carry the chain, you wanna do it?
Well, usually like
$75 bucks.
If I'm a basketball, I'm gonna do it like, but if I'm an official for volleyball, I do freshman JV varsity. So therefore, if I'm a timekeeper, I do freshman varsity, well, freshman JV varsity. Therefore, at the end of the day, they get $225 for that night.
Okay. How do they get a form for that? Does someone get, probably can't get in a cab?
No, well, MIA, Mr. Bailey and the MIA requires a site manager.
Okay,
So therefore, those are, he does the assigning, and if it's assigning for cross country, if it's assigning for track, or he is actually the site manager for football. He ends up being at most of the basketball games, you know, so therefore, he's the site manager. So
what is the bottom line for all of this, just out of curiosity, for all sports for these positions?
I cannot give you a fact, figure, Yogi, for the total amount that it would cost. Is that
Yeah,
what
for
you're?
all sports,
I can give you that. I can get that information for you and bring it.
yeah, I was just curious.
Okay.
This is all in the athletic budget anyways, correct?
It's in,
Yes and no. It's a good way to say it.
our employees are paid out of payroll.
Will be.
No, no, our employees are paid out of the payroll system because they carry on a W-2.
Yeah.
If you're so you could be a member of ASME, you could be a member of a DTA, you could be a DAA member and still officiate. So therefore, and then there are people outside that still do it for us. They get paid as a 1099 employee. So it's kind of difficult to track about how much you're gonna spend, but if you looked at every game, you could figure it out. And that's what I talked to Bobby about.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
so I make that motion to appoint the individuals, the above athletic positions. And to continue to pay them the current rate of $75 per event. For the remainder of the 22-23 school year.
need a second on that?
Second,
All in favor? Aye, opposed?
I really appreciate that because that clarifies something that's been a little bit.
It's been a bit of a gray area. I'm not sure if it's a gray area.
And the 3.1 other matters, E, elevator update.
So in doing, our elevators here, we are not in total ADA compliance because we do have 3 floors here altogether. We do have the first floor, which is the auto mechanics area. We have the main floor, which is one that everybody walks in to enter the building, and you have the second floor. Okay, one of the elevators that we have does not go to the bottom floor. Glenn has been, is aware of this. He has contacted our elevator company, and they're not true elevators. They're really fancy sailors, like you have, you know, they're really, correct. So they, the pots are worn, difficult to get them. The company he has been in touch with is Garrett Bender. He has been in touch with the vendor to come in. They are willing to come in, work on them. But I'm making this committee aware that we have 2 of the 3 are working. We would have difficulty bringing someone who needed other capacity to get to the auto mechanics area down below from the main floor. There is not an elevator that is available to them to do that. So that is a priority as far as getting that done. That we may have a student, we may have an adult, we may have an outside customer, we don't know who we have, but we need to have the building be totally 100% handicap accessible.
Do we have any updates as far as?
Yes, you will be getting them. He didn't, he was supposed to, oh, you do, Paul?
Yeah, Monday, Garrett is gonna come in and repair or start to repair the lift that's at the 4 corners.
Okay, the crossroads.
Crossroads. They weren't aware of the lower section. We did reach out to, there are 5 vendors on the state contract. We sent out emails to all of them to see if they, because they have lifts, they're not considered elevators, they have lifts.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be inspected like elevators. Actually, I've done like that, has to be. Well, except it has to be inspected like an elevator. 3 of them declined, there were 2, so Garrett Bender came in, or will come in and do their repairs, and Delta Backworth. And expressed an interest in trying to do some kind of repair. Ultimately, I think myself and Glenn talked about it. I think if we can get one repair, that'd be fine. We may have to replace the other and use that box to repair, have repair parts on site, the rest.
The time frame on.
If they come in and repair that one, they'll start on Monday. The lower level one is the one of concern because it goes from the ground to the main floor.
That would be.
But it's a very unique, it's not,
And the,
they're proprietary.
and the issue is that the company itself is having difficulty getting what parts it needs in order to make effective repairs.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not saying they can't do it, they're just saying that as soon as we get them, we are going to do it. We're saying that you need to, this has to go to the top of the list. You cannot ignore this.
Do we have many students or staff who permanently need the handicap facility?
Many, I would say that we might have some, for example, I know that we have a gentleman right now. Who probably would not be able, with his mobility, get to that kind of a situation. But we always worry about those students who come in and have to be wheelchair because they go to school. Crutches, okay, going up and down. We do have plus crutches are part of what we do.
Sure.
And they get there. It just needs to be taken care
No,
of.
absolutely, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I don't think, we don't have a lot, but when we do have them. Kind of a sore thumb.
Thank you, just keep us updated on,
Absolutely. You'll get updated as we get the updates ourselves.
we have, F, the, NEASC.
Yep, this is me again there. What would be any, on top of everything else, the building a new building, it was notified by the NEASC, which is the letter that we have behind the big sheet. The NEASC requested the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, where they want to come in and they want to do their 10-year review of this existing Diamond Regional Building. Bruce Severs is the person who runs the NEASC. I called him, and we were scheduled to have the full-blown committee come in. This is the one where they were here for a week. They look at our programs, they look at personnel, they look at the records, they look at the building. They do everything. I said, Bruce, we have a brand new building that's being built. So I don't know why you want to come in here exactly and look at what we have. They're going to split this into two parts. The easy part will be coming up probably towards as we get into the spring. They have now what's called a vision of learning. And their vision of learning is a small group of 3 to 5 individuals. They come in and what they do is they look at what courses do you have that are being offered to the students. Then they look at the content, they look at the value of that. Is there anything that we need to do? That'll be part 1. Part 2, they are going to wait until 2027. Yeah, they're going to postpone it until come back when they do the entire building. Now, this is the full blown, a team comes in about 14 different people. They're here for about a week. And they're going to come in to review everything about the building. Currently, as we stand right now with the NEASC, this building, the building only is considered to be on warning because of the conditions that need to be upgraded. We're just talking about elevators. But he said, like,
We need to
stop.
we don't have a call.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
So they are going to do this in 2 parts for us. At my request, I asked them to do the whole thing postponed to 2027. But NEASC themselves are so far behind in evaluating schools. They said we'd like to do it smaller because he said probably your curriculum is not going to change a lot. You know, what you teach your students, but the building obviously is going to change tremendously. So I said,
Doesn't require a lot of paperwork and reports for you to do before that.
and that's what he's going to come down in the springtime in order to prep it up, because they said we need to ease into this. He is going to come here in the springtime. He is going to explain what the vision of learning is. It's a new term that they're using now. He's going to break it down into what we need for the paper trail, for the committees. The old days of the self-reporting, self-evaluation, those have moved away.
Yeah.
Now instead they do this thing called a vision of learning. They streamline the process. So he had asked, he said, we can come in and do part 1. And we will, he said, and we'll do part 2, which is the full blown one. Everybody come in from the outside, people from other schools, states, they come in. They'll be able to see the brand new booth in outside in high school in 2027.
Thank you.
We're gonna work that out.
G, monthly financial report.
Really, I think everything we're starting off the year fairly well. There's no hiccups. We're fortunate enough to buy a lot of the supplies that we need for exploratory research, so we'll allow the shop to coming out of the gate strong. Later, you'll see some transfers, and those transfers for software and for personnel issue with carpentry, but they're all contained within the department in which the money is coming from. It's the beginning of the year, but I think as we ended strong last year. So, you know, with the math, Harry's, I know the Mouse is very, his group is very happy about that. And if moving forward, technology is going through what they're trying to implement, but I think the freshman exploratory is having the materials on site and having someone coming in and ready to go is a true benefit.
Only $2,400, the extra mentor is not gonna hurt us too much.
I don't think so. As long as we get a better teacher.
Great, thank you. Next H, it would be expenditure approvals.
The expenditures. These are some of the items that exceed 5,000. Pipe cutter for plumbing. IT is a help desk software. Again, Google software. Some furniture that some teacher desks primarily from WB Mason. Moodle is out of the LPN area. They don't use our software. And they do remove some of the trees out front. Renaissance, if I could, I would like to adjust that if I could. We received a update on that for the English software. It is listed as $7,025. We received an update on that today for $17,788, and it's for the accelerated reader. So there's an additional cost, and that's for 1,400 licenses. Group, that is for the maintenance, the annual maintenance on, it's gonna be twice a year on all the mini splits that we have. Blackboard again is the notification system. Wally has 3 identifications. One is for the site license, one is for an Acer Endo T1. So I imagine T1 is a T1 connection. The Stockholz Intercept is a filtering system. That is a multi-year license. Alti Allied Health is student software and testing. And then we go into the skills capital, the last 2. That's a Kia vehicle down in the automotive technology. They were awarded the skills capital grant last year. So what they're doing is the lane departure. So with lane departure, they purchased a reader. I call it a reader, but it's to calibrate lane departure, auto stop. The Kia was a vehicle that the department identified using. So it had those features, so the kids can learn on it. And then switch vehicles, those are 2 electronic kits that the kids will build, one in the first session and the second session. And those will be coming out of the skills capital grant.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. The classroom furniture,
Yep, we have 6 deck.
all right, just,
I understand.
you know, we're gonna be replacing a lot of
I
this stuff, so
understand.
if they can make do with what we got for the next couple of years, it'd be awesome.
There are smaller areas that we have, there's a conference area that when we split the nurses area, there are some desks that really are not functional. But to have 6 desks, that's what it comes down to. Each of desks.
And
I understand, because I don't want to bring anything over either.
this central intercept, is that something we had before and we're just,
No, we have never had,
so what is?
it's like a disaster recovery. It's a filtering program, so like a final, to the best of my knowledge, I'm only asking for what Mr. Bozeman gave to me. But it's like a disaster recovery plan out of the disaster. So if you crash, you have to have a backup and such.
So, all right, so I just don't understand what's $50,000.
It's a multi-year, so it would be a 3-year license.
Like I said, a lot of it's over here,
I know,
because I'm not a computer
neither
guy,
am I.
but I'm just saying that.
I think what we're trying to do is we're looking at it, and this is actually coming out of the ESSER money. Is to try to purchase with the federal money that we have now, that will long term us for 3 years to the end of this building. I mean,
Any other questions, comments? None? Need a motion to approve with the
Motion made.
with the amendment,
acceptance,
please.
yeah, the amendment.
Exception of the amendment, right?
Yep.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? I transfer.
As I mentioned earlier, there is a request for transfer from carpentry equipment. We had $26,000 listed for carpentry equipment. We did purchase one of those items to offset this, and then 13,000 from daily subs. That would cover the 39,000 for the aid for the salary, and then we're moving 49,3760 to math. That's for software. They're both Renaissance products. English does have a little bit of flexibility in their software line that we can carry it in math.
All right, any questions, comments? None, vote to transfer the available funds.
Motion made.
Need a second? All in favor? Aye, opposed? J, student activity, class accounts.
I had mentioned earlier last year that we had annually, we do a student activity account audit. The finding every year is that policies were not in place, policies and procedures on how advisors are instructed how to use student activity accounts. Student activity accounts are primarily money raised by students, spent on students. By the adoption, there still is a finding in this report of that. Next year, it should be removed because we adopted it at the end of the school year. But there aren't nothing glaring. And then on the second page of the list of the accounts themselves, so where we had a number of accounts listed, we reduced it down to those that are active. Took care of that at the last meeting.
Questions, comments?
We haven't made the change for the transfer in the prior years until there's something taken with the student
cookout at the end of the month where we ready to use some of that money.
So once we move that money, then we will spend the money, then we will transfer it into those accounts. So by October, we'll have it squared away.
Okay, thank you. K, admission subcommittee report. Should have a copy of the admissions policy with the highlighted changes. The major change was the 3 recommended letters with back down to the 1. There was some language that was actually taken out, so if you go through. Anybody have any questions on the new admissions?
The only thing on the admissions, while we're on that topic, if Mr. Bello, you could get us, I know Ms. Bello's not here, but get us a list of how many students came from each town in the city for the freshman class and how we're doing with that at this time.
How many applied or?
Yeah, how many have been accepted from each town in the city, please?
It'd be good if you'd also have how many applied as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good, just to look at ratios.
Looking for a motion to approve the new admissions.
motion made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
For just grade 9, Steve, guys, are you talking about, right?
Yeah. The admissions, how many we have been accepted from the freshman class this year from each town in the city, please?
House building subcommittee report, Mr. Bianchi.
Everybody should have a list of what's going, what the students are working on at this time. You have this list here in front of you. If it says in progress, those are the projects that our students and shops are taking part in during the month of September and October. And the ones that are waiting is if you do self-explanatory, waiting to know for different like the floor of a sewer department to install 3 mini splits. We're evaluating the project, so we're basically waiting at this time to see if they still want to do this. But these are more projects. I know that will be added to this next month, but this is what the different shops are working on at this time. The house building contract,
I hope that will be done tomorrow. We just get the final resolutions, some insurance issues. It'll be drafted tomorrow and hopefully Mr. Jennings, who already has permission on the board to execute the contract. I will track him down tomorrow, get it signed, and hopefully we can deliver it to people.
and what, I guess, Mr. Jennings, you heard from people, they're ready to go.
Representative, yeah.
They're ready to go. So hopefully, we'll have good news at the next month that this project is starting. It didn't require a foundation, so it's not, usually one foundation in August. This is just gonna be on a slab. So, and we have to put all the utilities in the slab. There's gonna be a bathroom and so we're gonna require the septic and everything else. So that'll be hopefully starting in October, so we get it up before the winter. Other than that, there was nothing else on the house building, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. MLPN subcommittee report, Mr. Deacon.
Yes, we had a subcommittee meeting last week to discuss applicant and potential appointment negotiations for a program director. And I'd like to make a recommendation to the board that we move forward with historian who is put in for director program for a contract to be negotiated by Attorney Brilliant up to $150,000.
Yeah, we can discuss in the executive session. A little bit later on.
Okay.
That's fine.
You want to wait for the vote, or you want to do it?
You can do it now, or you can wait to come back out. You can come back out after executive session. Okay, so we'll hold it till after
Why
executive.
don't we?
Well, we have one for executive session.
Yeah, Mr. Deacon has to leave, so.
Okay, I think I know his feelings on it, so I can report to the committee in executive session. And I can come back out afterwards and take that for a phone call.
Okay. Thank you. And policy subcommittee, Mr. Diazio.
All right, we met prior to our meeting. What we'd like to look for is, we had this set up for last meeting, but we was not on the agenda. But everybody has a list of all the policies on this. Everything our committee had approved except for ADF, which is the wellness policy. Everything else, which everybody has a packet up here. Most of all of these are MASC approved. So we went through these and we approved these back in August, and we're looking forward to pass these today. The only other one that we dealt with today was the wellness policy, and I'll have Mr. Rebello just go over that with you.
Sure, we added one line in there regarding physical education classes. Previously, all students were required to take a physical education class, no matter what, with no other options. And the proposed language within the policy would be if that student plays a athletic event, MIAA sport, that they would be exempt from taking the actual physical education class and be put into an athletic study. And that is okay via the state of Massachusetts and curriculum requirement if they are participating in MIAA sport. So on what was presented to the subcommittee was a request form and a process of which help students would apply. Again, we're only piloting it this year. We want to see how it goes. It would be just for junior and senior.
All right, recommendation to accept the policy revisions. Need a
Motion made.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, MSBA update, it's the Diazio.
So the MSBA committee met, and as you see in front of you, there's a list that the MSBA, I'm sorry, not the selection of the full committee. You have that? I think she just had you sign it.
Yeah.
Elaine, do you have that list on you of the full committee?
Top right here.
Get the full committee, that's. Hang on. So this is what we did is since we're into now the next phase of the building project, we just updated this list. There were some additions and such as Mr. Bentley replacing Dr. Ferrera, Mr. Kitchen replacing Debbie Kenny. Debbie Kenny is still on the committee, but not as our Director of Finance and Operations. And we added a couple, and there were a couple that asked to be taken off. So this list here is the new list of candidates for the MSBA. So our committee approved this, but now we need the school committee here to approve it. So Mr. Jennings can sign it and it can be sent out to the MSBA.
Need a motion to accept the new MSBA list.
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The right now, we're the architects, Colliers and Castle Blues, the architects is working on the new school. Obviously, they're continuing their process. They the selection committee that we voted on back in our August meeting has met once already. They're meeting again on September 29th. And September 29th, we're having the next meeting, Father. That's that meeting there when we met at the other meeting. This is just to go over the preliminary of the qualifications. See, Colliers is doing all the backgrounds and all the checking for the information, so he can bring that information back to us. And just to go over the 4 contractors, we did have 4 that submitted, Suffolk and Sigley, Gilbane, and Skananska. And those 4 I've submitted. We have
You passed the deadline, no others.
no others can submit. The deadline was set on the 15th. So so we met, and these are 4 right now that we're all doing the background on. The committee was given a pamphlet on each one. They're not pamphlet. If that's a pamphlet, that's more than reading material. But it's for us to get acquainted with them, to see what they've done, what projects they've done, what their qualifications are, etc. And then we're gonna come back on the 29th and talk to Tim from Colliers, just to go over, make sure that they are all qualified. And then that committee and that date will set the, what's the next date we meet for them, will be October 28th. So the next meeting after that, it'll give us a month to review those, finish reviewing them. And then October 28th, the selection committee will meet. As Tim from Colliers explained to us, if the 4 are qualified, then this committee, selection committee will make a determination whether we just interview all 4, which is probably what's going to happen. They're all worldwide companies, so nationwide they do projects, and they on October 28th, we'll go over the selection process with Colliers and Castle Blues, and then the date of November 1st was selected to do the interviews from 1 to 6. So we're going to give about an hour to each one. They have it broken down and how much time they can present and how much time we can ask questions. And I believe on the 28th, we will go over the questions that we will ask. And of course, we can go ask other questions from those questions, but the main questions will all have to be the same for all 4 applicants. So that's the selection process. The MSBA meeting, the next meeting for them is October 5th. We moved the MSBA, we voted to move that to the week before the school committee meeting, just so if there's expenditures that we authorize to be approved by the school committee, we're doing it a week before each school committee. So from now on, the MSBA will be on 5th at 5:30, and that way, our school, like for example, our school committee on October 13th will be able to approve anything that the MSBA does. But it's moving along. It's a good selection committee. Is very well rounded. Some very good people on it, and the guidance we're getting from Colliers and Castle Blues is excellent. So we hope to continue on. There was one comment made at the Somerset School Committee and the Somerset Town Meeting about Diman coming back to Somerset for more money. And that was on true statement. We are at the budget we have fixed is what our contractors that we hire and the architects and management company and the selection committee, oversight committee will make sure that we adhere to it. And we are not going back to the towns for any money. This is what we asked for. This is what we're gonna live by. So, and my understanding from the from both Gaspels and Colliers is we should be able to stay within that budget. And that's why they want to get the contractor on board so they can work closely to make sure the numbers continue to work. So with that, if anybody has any questions? Other than that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Steve, you want
After the executive session.
to, Q, student enrollment discussion?
Yeah, there was a good, while we doing the admission policy, we folded into that also a discussion about increasing student enrollment. The current building does have capacity to increase it, some. With the new building coming up, obviously we'll have a lot more capacity. So I do have a recommendation, and after spoken to the principal, I've spoken to the director of guidance. And we are looking for the next school year to increase it from the current 375, which is the acceptance rate, up to 380 students. And we believe that we have the capacity. Not that we do.
And that would be for this school year.
That would be for the 20, 30, 20, that'd be for this school year, we're at 375. Okay, next school year, we are going to increase it to
All right, Mr. Chairman, am I wrong? Our policy says 365, and we as a school committee authorize to go up because it's correct. So I don't want to just authorize to 380. I think we have 365. If next year, if you feel you want to increase that to 15, then that's something the school committee can bring up at that time to increase to 15, just to allocate. Because there's sometimes we can do, we can adjust where we want those 15 to come from, basically, or 10 at this point. So for us to just bluntly give out the 380 is not.
So why don't we go from 365 to 370? We'll still have the 10 by half splits.
for the school year at 370.
Well, we have, currently, we're at 375. We approved the 375.
Currently, we are today at 375.
For the list is 65.
Right.
That's our number, 365, and then we do the 375. Correct. As the year goes on.
So let me phrase it then. The recommendation would be to have the school committee review on what has happened and
Because I believe,
potentially increase that to 38.
I believe if we change that 365 to increase the number, and you might be able to answer this better, I believe we have to back to the four communities anytime you raise what your minimum.
Well, I'm not sure what we're doing anyhow. What are you suggesting? We're doing, we already took the vote to go to 375 for this year.
The recommendation would be
Next year?
This comes up, yes.
Well, I think I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I thought it was for this year. I just
Actually,
wait.
I thought it was for this year too.
I would just wait till you get closer to the next year like we always do every year.
23, 24.
Okay, maybe I'm making a rookie mistake. So
That's okay.
is it for this year, as we sit here today, we are at 375.
Right.
Okay,
I thought you wanted to go 5 more for this year.
no, 5 more would be for next year.
Yeah, I would hold off. on
Yeah,
that,
we gotta-
Mr. Chairman, until next week. We normally take that vote, the superintendent at the end of the school year. We adjust it.
Okay.
Well, we
But if we can take, if the present building can take 5 more kids, we take them this year.
Well, we're still working on making sure that we stay at and maintain 375 as the year's just open. And so some students are thinking that they may not stay. So we know that 375 number is a comfortable number for this year.
Okay.
If
You'll
you know,
lose some after January when they all get
correct.
there.
Some students do change their mind, they don't get the shot they want, so any number of things, their friends out here, how that works. So we are comfortable with the 375, but the discussion was about 380, but I was not thinking this year.
Yeah, I thought, because normally we take this up in, I think it's April.
Right.
April, May,
As
right.
the admissions policy
Right.
kicks in full year, and we start doing full blown admissions. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay. And then they normally, as Mr. DiBiase said, they normally try to determine how you're going to separate, how you're going to
Right.
segregate those.
Anything over
10 or maybe
360,
50.
right. Anything at 365 goes by the formula, anything more, we can allocate if we want to take a couple more from the communities to give them a few more students, etc.
And the reason I was thinking it was being done now is because October 1st is cutoff.
It's right around the corner.
So I would think 5 more, and then October 1st, those would be our numbers, but if you're thinking next year, then I can't do it this year.
All this, everything has been done, right now, we're gonna maintain the 375 for this year.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
No.
We like thinking, you know.
Forward thinking.
Our assistant superintendent, principal report, Mr. Lavelle.
Sure, so we had a busy summer here at Diamond, mainly happy that we have this back. We discontinued it the past few years because of COVID, but we needed it more than ever. And that's our freshman ramp up program, or really a learning acceleration program. You know, knowing what students have gone through the past few years in different settings. We had over 140 freshmen come for a ramp up learning acceleration program here at Diamond. It was a 2-week long, 4-day-a-week program where they, went through different academic subjects. And they had a lot of fun doing it, and great response from students and parents. And I thank you to the educators that participated in that very successful program. We continued our partnership with Mass Hire and our collaboration with Somerset and Fall River for summer school. Our school year prep, we continue to try to inform and partner with our students and families to get them ready for the new school year. We did have a new hire orientation, provided professional development session for our administrators. We held our first ever week of welcome, which was really well attended by students and parents to get ready for the new school year. And of course, we did our full day teacher orientation on August 30th. I am very pleased to report that we're off to a very smooth start, and the feeling of ease is sensed throughout the building from the teachers I've talked to, the students I've talked to. It's a great start to the year. We're going to keep it going around our mission of unity, around our mission of one Diamond, doing this together, bringing people back together after, frankly, a very rough 2 years. We are bouncing back, at least to start here, very well. But we'll continue our initiatives throughout the year to engage with staff and students. Where do we need to improve? What's happening? So great start. And then we also had held professional development for staff too. The big one there is that school safety review, going over Alex and intruder drills, evacuation drills. And that's of course top priority is keeping our staff and students safe.
Thank you. Yes, superintendent report.
Very brief, I don't know if you back to the figures at the end, but I just want to make a comment that coming on here on August 1st, and diving right in with the help of everyone here, I'm trying to get as acclimated as possible to what is happening here at Diamond Regional. I've had some great cooperation from the members of the administrative staff as well as the entire Diamond community. I have met with just about everyone that is here in the building, both as groups and as individuals. And that was for them that they have questions about me because they haven't seen me in a little while. Ask about me, ask about the role or the direction of the vision I have for Diamond going forward this year. The free exchange of ideas, dynamic groups, they all had goals. And we all kind of, how are we going to work with each other this year? And as it's unfolding, I'm sure that there's going to be a few challenges that will be coming up here. But I'm also confident that with the cooperation of the entire Diamond community, I'll meet those challenges and we will deal with them. That will leave us all in a better place. So right now, it's just the beginning. I have many more months to go, and I'm looking forward to all the challenges and how I can work with the Diamond community. Also, as part of my report, I do want to indicate that the members of this Diamond School Committee here, that you are going to have your emails all aligned with what the Diamond community is, which is, I think that some of you have them there ready, which would be your name at diamondregional.org. This also works well with what we're doing for the new building, that we're all on the same page, not using private emails in order to converse about something that is obviously very, very public. If you need help converting that, our IT department is at the ready. If you need, for example, you say, I want this on my phone, or I want to put it on another device, we're ready to help. In your packet tonight, I believe that you get a little welcoming gift for the school year. Yes, the staff did receive. You also probably have some forms in there, which I don't know if you reviewed that. Okay, that is in keeping with what everybody received this year, which is query forms for the entire faculty, the entire staff that is being queried. It has not been done, and we're going to get caught up to speed. You also have a donation form if you want to do something for the Bengal Foundation as a way of contributing back to all of they give to us, and that's optional. The query form, not so much. And the last is that I'm happy to report out that on our first co-op report that I do have, we have 150 seniors out on co-op right now as we start the year. That's a very good number considering that we've come out on co-op. We had last year to rebuild that number, and we have 150 seniors right now on co-op, and they're earning from a low of about $14.50 an hour to a high of almost $19 an hour. That's in the various vendors, well, from creative over the area funds and funding platform. And that's my report.
Very good, thank you.
On the email, do we, I don't know if it's intended, we get all the emails for everything, attendance, when teachers are out.
Do you want them? That is, see, what happens is they have a button, they have a grouping known as all staff.
Okay.
So every,
I don't mind. I'm just gonna, like, things that we need is something that I'm looking at it, like, I don't need the menu for the, well, I appreciate, but I know how to get that, but, we need a lot more.
it is it's the email that's sent out is for everybody in the building. You're included on that email list. Certainly, if you don't want them, because you deal with enough of
Yeah,
them.
let's come for lunch.
I check the menu regularly.
That can be tailor made, but that's the general email that you get.
All right, thank you. Next is the calendar events. Everybody has our next school committee meeting would be for October 13th right now.
Mr. Jennings, if I may, on the calendar of events, just to keep it on your radar, is that the MASC conference is coming up in November. I do believe you might have received paperwork in that. I'll hand it to me. It's in the orange
I knew it
folder.
was coming up at the beginning of
November 2nd to the 5th.
November 2nd to the 5th. In your orange folder, there is information on that. And certainly, if you want to go, just let us know, and Malaya will take all the arrangements.
There's the one in, it's just the one in Las Vegas.
Not this one. I think the Las Vegas one is in 2028.
Okay.
The big.
You and I are still here.
But if you are interested in going to that, just please let us know and we will take care of that part.
Thank you. Do we have any, we don't have anything 48 hours?
No.
And like I said, we don't have any correspondence. Our next meeting would be October 13th. And we do have an executive session.
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws 38, Section 21A, Paragraph 2, conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, individual contracts, LPN, director, legal counsel. And we will be coming out into open session.
Need a motion to go into executive session?
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need a roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu,
Yes.
Mr. Beegan, Ms. Menard,
Can do it like that.
Father J.
Yes.
Dr. Nara.
Good. Okay, we're back in open session. Need a roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu.
Yes.
Mr. Beegan, Ms. Menard,
Yeah.
Father J.
Yes.
Dr. Nara.
Just for the record, Mr. Bacon has left, but we still maintain a quorum with the 3 communities and 4 members. Can we take up 3.1M LPN Subcommittee, LPN Director? I'm going to recommend that the school committee authorized myself and Mr. Bentley to enter into negotiations with the preferred candidate being Miss Lori Keehan. I apologize, Ms. Keehan, I didn't say that right.
All right,
Motion made.
need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then we're gonna go to 3.1 P, and as is customary, to approve the legal contract as negotiated.
Need a,
Motion made.
need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
End of the year.
Aye.